Hi, in this video, we will use shader editor and geometry nodes to create this 2D fire in anime style. Let's get started. Let's move on to geometry nodes. And here I will use a Bezier curve. I'll create a geometry node graph for this curve and add curve to mesh node. Here I'll also provide a profile curve. For that I'll use curve line node. The idea is to create a plane or 2D sheet on the curve. For that I'll make z 0 and make y coordinate minus 1.5. So as you can see, we have a 2D sheet on our curve. So irrespective of the shape of the curve, you can create this 2D sheet on your curve. Let me add a set material node over here, and now I'll create a new material for this mesh. Let's give it a name, 2D fire. In the set material node, I'll select the same material, 2D fire. Now I'll go to the shading editor to modify this texture. Let's get rid of principal PSDF. Also, let's change the render engine to EV. And I'll make use of the noise texture to create the fire effect. Let's connect it to the output. And here you can see the mesh has some noise, gray and white patches. Now, before moving ahead, please make sure that you have one add-on enabled in your system, and that is Node Wrangler. And once it is enabled, just click on noise texture and press Ctrl T on your keyboard. So these two nodes will appear. And these nodes will help us in adjusting the noise in this plane or mesh. So as you can see, if I change the value of Z coordinate, the noise starts to move up and down. And this can be handy in creating the fire effect. Here I'll be using a driver, hash frame multiplied by minus 0.08. Now let me bring out the timeline panel and let's play the animation. So because of the drivers, you can see that we have our noise moving upwards continuously. Now I will use gradient texture node. Same over here also. I press Ctrl T and texture coordinate and mapping nodes are here. Now if I connect the gradient texture to the output, you can see the gradient pattern on this mesh. Let me rotate the y coordinate by minus 90 degree. Now I'll increase the x coordinate a little bit and you can see the gradient appearing horizontally. Earlier it was vertical. So we want to have a gradient where the darker part of the gradient is on the top of the mesh and the lighter part is at the bottom, because we want to hide the or make the fire transparent from the top. Now let's use the mix color rather, and connect the noise texture and gradient texture to this node, and also change the blending mode to color burn. So if I play the animation, now this pattern is looking closer to the desired output, that is fire. Let's use color ramp as well. So now it will help us in adjusting the white and black regions. You can play around with these levers as per your liking. And we can also add a new lever in the middle and give it a gray shade. I want to have less fire particles on top of the mesh, right? And that's what I'm trying to achieve by adjusting these levers. You can also adjust this factor value. Now I think it looks better. There are fewer particles, fire particles on top of the mesh. And this is the factor value that I have used, 0.8. Now let's pull out mix shader node, and I will attach transparent BSDF and emission BSDF nodes to this mix shader node. Now in order to add colors to our fire, we can use the color ramp node again, connect it to the color burn node and emission node, and the output of mix shader will go into the final output. So you can see that our mesh has become quite grainy, and for that we'll have to go to the settings section and change the render method to blended. This will work only if you're using EV render engine. For cycles, you won't find this option. Okay, let's add some colors to our color ramp that is connected to the emission node. So I'll add red color, then maybe I can use bright yellow color. It has already started looking good. So it is looking like realistic fire rather than anime fire. Let's also add one more color, a bluish color, and you can adjust these colors as per your preference. There's white color as well. Now to convert this fire into anime style fire, you can change the interpolation to constant instead of linear. There you go. Now here we have our anime style fire, right? And you can also edit this curve. So as you edit this curve, all the other things, for example the fire and the coloring of fire, will automatically get applied to that new curve. So for example, I've added a circular curve, so you can see the fire is still there with the circular curve. I'll delete the older curve. This you can do in edit mode. Now I'm back in object mode. So there you have a fire. in circle. And you can also adjust the density of fire on your curve by changing the value of x coordinate in scale. And to increase or decrease the height of the fire, you can change the factor value in color burn node. All right, so you can create your curves in any shape and then use this material to put a 2D fire on them.